be seated. From the moment we're born till the moment we die, we human beings are trying to figure out how the world works. What is it that we can do that can make things happen, and what is it that benefits us most? And our research starts early, and it goes something like this. If I do this, then what happens? And does it help me or hurt me? Because that's how I decide whether or not to do that ever again. Even as babies, it doesn't take long to conclude that if I cry loudly enough, long enough, somebody's going to come and take care of me. They're going to change my diaper, they're going to feed me, they're going to pick me up, they're going to carry me around, they're going to give me some attention, they're going to try to make me happy. Now, sadly, some people never outgrow that method of trying to get what they want. But by trial and error, we learn if I do this, then that happens. If I do what my parent says, then they tend to be happier with me, and then I tend to be happier. If, on the other hand, I ignore what my parents say, they tend to get unhappy and then do things that make me unhappy. So therefore, it is to my benefit to obey my parents. And there's another part of figuring out how the world works. By doing a cost-benefit analysis. How do the benefits of my actions compare with the costs? And are the benefits worth the cost? Mom and Dad say I have to finish my homework and do my chores before I can go play. My friends want to play right now, and I haven't finished my work yet. So is the fun I'm going to have with my friends worth the cost of getting grounded? And if I lie to my parents and tell them that I've actually finished my work, what are the chances that I'll get caught? And is the risk worth the reward? You know, every one of us does 1,000 cost-benefit analyses every day. I wake up and I'm tired, don't want to go to work, want to sleep in, but you know, if I do that instead of going to work, I don't get paid. So therefore, the benefits don't measure up to the cost unless I remember that I got a bunch of sick days left, and then I can sleep in and it won't cost me anything. Or my house is a mess, and it's going to cost me a couple of hours to tidy up and put away the dishes and vacuum the floors and dust, but company's coming over. And if they see the house looking like this, they're going to think I'm a slob, and I don't want that. So I'm willing to pay the cost in order to gain the benefit of their approval. But if company's not coming, and if my wife's out of town, I don't have to clean up. At least not till the night before she shows up. Life is full of if-then offers and situations where we weigh the cost against the benefits and then choose what to do or not. And God has a couple of if-then offers for us today. And we get to decide if the benefits of doing what God says are worth the cost. The prophet Isaiah reports God's offer. If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing finger and malicious talk, and if you spend yourself on behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, God tells us how He wants us to treat people. Don't oppress them. Don't push people around. Don't take advantage of folks who are younger or weaker or poorer than you. Don't use people as tools for your own profit or as stepping stones for your own advancement. Don't point your finger at people and accuse them. Don't call them names or judge them because they're different from you. Instead, invest your time and energy and resources to help people, especially folks who are hurting or hungry or poorer or weaker or younger than you, or who have been pushed around and mistreated by others, like we do at the Christian Service Center and Habitat for Humanity and with Compassion International. The cost of doing what God says and treating people the way He wants us to is this: we have to love people. Oh, bother. But if we choose to love people the way that God asks us to, then what happens? What are the benefits? Isaiah tells us Then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. If we choose to love people and treat them right, then God will share with us His light to get us through those dark places in life. He will lead and guide us always. He will satisfy all of our needs and be our strength. He'll make us like a well-watered garden that grows fruit year-round. He'll make us like a spring of water bubbling up continuously. He'll help us repair and rebuild what the troubles of life have bent or broken or torn down, both for us and for others. And people around us will notice our attitude and our actions and compliment us for the difference that we're making in their life and in the world. If we love people the way God loves us and pay the cost of sharing with them our time, attention, and energy and stuff, then the benefits are God will take care of us, He will meet all of our needs, and He will work with us and through us to change the world with Jesus. Compared to the cost of loving and serving people, the benefits for us and everybody around us are not too shabby. God makes us another if-then offer. Isaiah continues, if you keep your feet from breaking the Sabbath and from doing as you please on my holy day, if you call the Sabbath a delight and the Lord's holy day honorable, and if you honor it not by going your own way and not doing as you please or speaking idle words, God tells us how He would like us to treat Him, to cheerfully set apart Sabbath time to be with Him and to do what He likes and not just what we like. Now, for our Jewish mothers and fathers, the Sabbath is one day a week, from sundown Friday night to sundown Saturday night, when Jewish people don't work, don't cook, don't do chores, and don't stress themselves out about the troubles of life. Instead, they relax and enjoy a day of peace and rest with God and each other. The Sabbath is not a day off to mow the grass, do the laundry, go shopping, or fight the traffic and crowds to go to the beach or the theme park or the sporting event. It's a day to breathe out the worries of the world and to breathe in the peace and rest of God. And that's what God would like for us. And as Christians, Sabbath for us is not just Sunday, it's any time that we will set apart for God, to entrust to Him our to-do list, to soak up some Scripture, to talk to Him and listen for His answer, and to do that either alone with God or together with other believers. Honoring the Sabbath can happen anytime, any day, but it certainly includes being here on Sundays. The cost of doing what God asks and honoring Him by carving out Sabbath time in our days and our week is this: we have to love God with all of our heart and soul and mind and strength. Oh, bother. But if we choose to love God the way He asks us to, then what happens? What are the benefits? Isaiah tells us, then you will find your joy in the Lord, and I will cause you to ride in triumph on the heights of the land and to feast on the inheritance of your father Jacob. If we love God the way He asks us to, then He will replace our anxiety by giving us joy, an overwhelming sense of well-being and expectation and anticipation and happiness and fun. And He will make us winners in the game of life, who feast on the inheritance of our father Jacob. Now, what does that last part mean? What's the inheritance of Jacob? Well, Jacob is Isaac's son and Abraham's grandson, to whom God made the same promises he made to Abraham and Isaac, to give them land and health and wealth and children, and to protect them from every enemy, and to work through them to bless the whole world. That's our inheritance of our father Jacob, that God promises to give us, along with joy and victory in the struggles of life, if we will love him the way he asks, by honoring him and the Sabbath. And in case you don't believe Isaiah's account of what God offers, it's not just Isaiah talking, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. God's personal promise to each of us is this: if we will love God and honor the Sabbath by setting apart time to be with him, then he will fill us up with joy, make us winners in the game of life, shower us with health, wealth, and family, and work through us to change the world with Jesus. Once again, compared to the cost of loving God, the benefits are not too shabby. Now, if in your life you're not experiencing the benefits that God offers, guidance, provision, protection, the respect of others, or joy, or victory, or chances to change the world, then it may be because you have not yet chosen to pay the cost that God asks. You see, if we're not doing the if part of the deal, then God doesn't have to do the then part. And if you push people around or mistreat them, if you insult or scorn people who are different from you in their size or shape or color or condition or culture or political persuasion in this election cycle, if you are not giving your time, attention, energy, or stuff generously to help people in need, then you might want to adjust your attitude and change your behavior, because if you will love God, if you will love people as God asks, then he will lead you, guide you, take care of you, and fill you up to overflowing, and people will notice and respect you for your efforts. If you are not carving out time to spend with God on Sundays or any other day, if you ignore the Bible, if you're not talking and listening to God regularly, then you might want to change your behavior and adjust your attitude, because if you will love God as he asks and give him some time daily, and especially on Sundays, then he will fill you up to overflowing with joy and peace, shower you with blessings both spiritual and material, and will work through you to make a difference in the whole world. From the moment we're born till the moment we die, we human beings are trying to figure out how the world works. What makes things happen, and what will benefit us most? As it turns out, God tells us today what benefits us most in life, and it's loving God and our neighbors. Imagine that. If you have been loving God and people and loving them well, thank you. And I bet you're experiencing the benefits of paying those costs, because if you've been doing the if part of the deal, God always does the then part. For the mouth of the Lord has spoken. But if you're not loving God and or people well, then today's the day to admit that, to ask God's forgiveness, and to determine to love God and people the way he asks us to. Because if you'll pay that cost, then the benefits kick in for you and for your family and for your friends and for those people around you, and indeed for the whole world, which is not too shabby.